In today's brief video, I want to take a moment and explain our Quitting Weed for Business Professionals program that we're launching this August in 2023. I've received a small handful of emails from community members asking about the details of this program and who it applies to, and I figured the easiest and most efficient way to answer these questions would be in a brief presentation for everyone. Now, if you do wind up wanting to learn more about the program, or if you want to sign up for it, feel free to check out the pinned comment or the video description for a link that provides you with more information. Okay. So why would I create a course specifically tailored to business professionals? There are tons of coaching programs out there when it comes to business professionals and those who hold professional licensing. You have your big hitter speakers, Grant Cardone, you're seeing this guy a lot, Andy Elliott, and a lot of these courses or programs tend to focus on branding, marketing strategies, advertising, writing email copy, how to make sales, and other categories of business development. I've taken a majority of programs out there. I've spent a lot of money on coaching programs when it comes to business. And although some were complete garbage and others were super, super beneficial, there was always something kind of holding me back. And that something was addiction, right? Even when I was taking these courses early on, I was still stuck in active addiction. And I firmly believe that was preventing me from getting the maximum benefit out of all these other things I was investing in to further my business, to further my career. And that's why I've decided to go ahead and make a course like this, tailored directly to people like yourself, possibly, who are business professionals or business owners. I believe when it comes to business and addiction, there's two tails or two sides of it. One, you have lots of freedom. Your business is a success. You're hardly working at all anymore in it, and weed fills your free time. You have a lot of downtime. Your company runs itself. You've been very successful in what you've done, and now weed has conveniently entered your life while you're taking time off. Situation number two, you have no freedom. You work morning to night and then some. Your business is either in the process of growing or perhaps failing, and weed is what allows you to tolerate the demands of business. I think this is a reality that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to entrepreneurship and addiction. We often talk about alcohol, weed, and other substances as being damaging when it comes to the creation of a business. But the reality is the person that you are, or the person that you once were, if you're in the process of quitting, is the person and the mentality that got you to the point of success or lack thereof that you have achieved as of today. And if you have had success and you're beating yourself up because of this weed addiction or other addiction that you're struggling with, I do think it's important to pat yourself on the back and acknowledge that perhaps, in your case, there might have been some advantages to the substances you consumed. I think I would be lying if I said nicotine and weed and some other things were 100% destructive in my life. There were certainly points throughout my college career where I felt weed was beneficial when it came to coping with the demands of school and the demands of testing and board examinations and things like that. The reality, though, is those benefits simply haven't carried over into my long-term business ventures or goals. And acknowledging that was a very important step when it came to quitting. I have to ask people in these roles, what's the point? What's the point in working so hard for yourself? Why have you taken on such a monumental challenge, right? I think it's something like 95% of businesses fail within the first 5 years. And the question becomes, did you come this far simply to sacrifice everything to addiction? Is it worth all of that time, effort, and hard work if you're going to destroy yourself in the process? And did you come this far only to remain here? I have a brief story. There was a client that I was consulting with early on in my addiction recovery coaching career. The gentleman had an income of upwards of $30 million a year. He was a Mongol when it came to living facilities, let's just call it that. And he suffered from a severe form of alcoholism. And it was a true tragedy to watch. Someone who started as a CPA for a living facility and then dominated in his industry, starting like at like a really just, working for this company to one day buying the company and then swallowing up any other companies in this business field. Watching someone build that level of financial success, but quite literally kill themselves in the process and not be able to enjoy any of the financial success that they achieved was a real tragedy. I believe business professionals face a unique set of challenges. You're used to doing things yourself. If you started your business from the grassroots, it was probably all you in the beginning. This can be a lonely road. So you're used to doing things alone. For a lot of us, there's stigma, right? Especially if you hold a medical license or if you're an attorney in your community. And a lot of people don't necessarily want to be seen or recognized as at an AA meeting, NA meeting, or MA meeting. Although I would encourage you to drop any thoughts regarding other people and what they may think of you, because your health and your wellness is the top priority here. This is a reality, and it's a reality that I faced when I was looking to get sober from substances. When it did come to the attendance of these various meetings, I simply didn't find that they had the level of relatability that I was looking for. A lot of people were telling war stories, and they were telling their stories of being at rock bottom. And having ascertained a specific amount of success at that point in my life, I simply couldn't relate. Time constraints. These meetings were time consuming. And when it comes to business, my time, even when I wasn't using it wisely, was still very valuable to me. The fear of falling apart, everything's going to fall apart. So this is the idea that you're going to get sober, take time to get sober, and that somehow it's going to take away from your business or the things that you've been working on to build up. Although this is largely false, this is a major challenge that a lot of people face because their presence is necessary in their company. There's a fear of decreased performance. There's a fear of decreased creativity. And there's a fear that we're never going to be able to shut our brains off. If you're a business owner, there's a chance that your mind is going 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And I think substances for a lot of people can be a nice reprieve from that until that reprieve becomes an imprisonment, right? So these are all challenges, unique challenges that I think business owners struggling with addiction face that I don't know if everyone can relate to. To make matters worse, there may be a possibility that you have built up a certain amount of success despite addiction. So this is where you look around and you see those around you and you say, you know what? I'm doing much better than Sally. I'm doing much better than John. And Sally and John, they don't smoke weed. They don't use nicotine, but I'm doing better than them. So I must be doing something right. And this is where we start to justify our addiction and attribute our success to our addiction. For a lot of you watching this, there's no financial motivation to quit. You can comfortably afford the substance of choice. You're probably not obligated to quit for anyone but yourself, right? You're not out there getting drug tested for a job, or you're not worried about being ousted from your place of work if substance use is discovered, because you might own that job. You might own that place of work. Your business runs without you. This could make matters worse. You don't need to be there. You've built up such a successful thing that you can be doing whatever you want. And perhaps you've fallen into addiction during this time frame. Or your business solely relies on you. This is where all the pressure, all the stress, all of it is dependent upon you and your performance. These are things that complicate addiction when it comes to those of us who are in business for ourselves. You have a unique set of talents that got you here and there, right? So you have grit, you have drive, you have passion, you have obsession, you have determination, you have discipline, probably a little bit of ADHD and a little bit of crazy. You are more than capable of quitting this substance if you've built a business, because with the high failure rate of business, I think it's very, very comparable to the high failure rate of addiction recovery, right? A lot of people set out to quit and they fail. But you have already succeeded or are in the process of succeeding at something that most people will never take on in their lives. And that success is dependent upon each of these traits. We just got to start to use these traits to something more prosperous and something more beneficial for you. What does this program consist of, this masterclass? It's going to be 4 live Zoom calls throughout the month of August. We're going to talk about withdrawal management in the workplace, which is also going to include a section on quitting multiple substances at once and managing that while continuing to work, while continuing to perform. We're going to have a section on sobriety mastery, discussing new coping skills specifically tailored towards business professionals. When you are working for yourself or you're running a large company, chances are you're in a high stress environment. And the advantage of drugs is they're fast acting, right? You can take a hit of nicotine, you can rip some weed, and it's a fast acting temporary source of potential stress relief. So we need coping skills that are also going to be fast acting, right? I can't be in the middle of a business transaction, get hit with a craving, become frustrated, and then go to the gym for 2.5 hours or go for a walk if I'm in my office in the middle of something. We need fast acting and effective coping skills. We're going to talk about further developing that mindset of discipline, determination, patience, and grit. And we're going to develop that mindset and those skill sets through the activities that we're going to do throughout the month of August in regard to quitting cannabis. A lot of the traits that I've developed that have helped to create the companies that I have or that I hold today, those traits are something that I inherently had, but I redefined them and I hardened them through my sobriety process. And then I applied them to building new ventures and new things for myself. We're going to talk about unlocking your career's true potential through the power of addiction recovery. And that section is going to be tied to a bonus section on branding through the power of social media influence. If you are in business for yourself, if you do hold a professional license, I think creating a social media presence is a very, very powerful thing. And it's a 24/7 thing that can always occupy your time. So I think it can be a beautiful thing for addiction recovery. And I'm going to explain to you guys how I've done that in my companies and share with you how you could potentially do that in yours as you're going through this process of sobriety and recovery. Anyone who signs up is going to receive a one-on-one call with myself, either prior to the month of August or during the month of August. And this is so I can learn about your specific challenges and needs and make sure that they're addressed throughout the course of the program. Because although we're all going to have similar situations, recovery is unique, and how the person gets there is a unique experience. And I want to make sure not to gyp you guys of that. You're going to have access to the WhatsApp chat and the Addiction Mindset community of business professionals. Not only is this a chance for community support where you don't have to go with this alone, but it's also a chance for you to network with other business people. One of the biggest things I did in my recovery process was networking and getting coaching for business related matters, not for addiction matters. Because a lot of my stress and a lot of the things that I was facing was just from not having someone to talk to about the challenges I was facing in business. I felt so alone. And drugs were, in one sense, a perfect coping tool at the time. And introducing you guys to a community of other people or getting you in touch with communities of other people who have been through some of the challenges you may be facing, they may have the solutions for you. And that's a great way to manage stress and deal with anxiety when you're in business for yourself. You're also going to have lifetime access to the Addiction Mindset Accountability Community and the WhatsApp chat. This is where myself and Macaulay Sexton, another addiction recovery coach, we each go live once a month in the community, answering questions and just hanging out and interacting with people. I already talked about the bonus section, and then I'm also going to include another bonus section, and this is going to be focused around withdrawals and workplace performance. And I'm going to be discussing supplementation, like supplements, oral supplements, powder supplements that you can integrate into your day-to-day life that might help you with your performance in the long run. These are not stimulant-based supplements or anything like that. Why would you choose a program like Addiction Mindset? Why would you choose this? Convenience. You can do this from your own home right here over Zoom. We're not NA, MA, or AA. I don't operate on the same policies, principles, or philosophies that they do. And for a lot of people, that's a very refreshing change. Time. We are trying to create the most efficient program for business professionals. Your time is very valuable, and I respect the value of your time. And that's why this program isn't a 3-month, 6-month, multiple times a week program like I've run in the past. I want to give you the most amount of information in the most effective way possible in the shortest amount of time. We're going to address the root cause of failure to perform. I referenced earlier all the other business coaching programs out there, but a lot of them don't focus on addiction. They might say things that might motivate us when it comes to getting sober and performing better in our career, but they're not addressing the addiction. And I think we're missing out on a huge chunk of those other programs and the potential benefits of them if we're trying to power through it while struggling with active addiction. There is a savings. Although this program isn't cheap, your typical inpatient care in a nice facility like the one depicted here in Arizona, it's between $14,000 and $27,000 a month for the inpatient care cost. And if you relapse, if you screw up, you call them, you say, I screwed up. They say, great, write us a check and we're more than happy to have you right back. So this program is very cost effective. You're quitting in your current environment. I think this is one of the most important things for business professionals struggling with addiction. You could go to a fancy rehab facility like this. And listen, in some cases, I may advise that people do that. We have connections with rehabs all over the place that we can connect people with if need be. I'm not against it, but you're there, you're getting therapy, you're doing yoga, you don't have the stress of work, or maybe that stress of work is reduced by 75%. And then you come back home, you come back to your environment, and all those stressors, all those realities are there, and they're waiting for you to face them. Yes, you may have developed some new tools, but are those tools going to withstand your current reality, your current environment? And I think that's something that's powerful about quitting in your current environment. And that's why we're going to place such an emphasis on managing the withdrawals and managing sobriety while continuing to work, while continuing to perform. You're quitting with a group of people that you can relate to. I made this class for a specific group and demographic of people for a reason. I want relatability amongst everyone who's going to be in this program. And hopefully we get about 20 people. That's what I capped it at. Hopefully we fill up those seats. Real quick, a little bit about myself and my background. What is it that would qualify me to talk on this subject matter? So outside of my addiction recovery coaching business and our addiction mindset company that you guys watch here and partake in on YouTube, I also run a cash chiropractic office. We have 5 employees, and we started that, I say, grassroots from the ground up. So we started with 0 patients. We didn't buy out a practice. We started day one, had absolutely nothing, and have grown it into a really successful cash practice today. We have Kick It Enterprises, LLC. This is a company that I began that involved seeking investors, and anyone on the channel is going to be learning more about this in the upcoming weeks. We have some really exciting things for our addiction mindset community regarding our Kick It Enterprise LLC company. That's exciting stuff ahead. We have Addiction Mindset LLC. That's this company that you see here on YouTube. It's a privately held for-profit addiction recovery coaching company that started, again, grassroots, no funding. We didn't buy anyone else out. I started this from scratch on TikTok and have grown it to what it is today throughout social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We have SOS LLC. This is the Save Our Students limited liability company. We hold contracts with New York State schools regarding substance use prevention programs, and we operate predominantly on grants and stipends and things along those lines. We have Gyno Girls LLC. This is a company that my wife owns, but that we started together. Prior to doing this stuff, believe it or not, I was actually involved in CBD products and sales, and I worked very closely with a CBD company for many years. I'm a chiropractor. That was an 8-year degree. I'm a certified addiction recovery coach, and I'm a certified functional medicine practitioner. So over the course of time, I've accomplished a few things when it comes to education and business. What is the compounding cost of addiction? So if you're thinking $14.99, that's a good chunk of money. There is also a cost to addiction, and that cost compounds over time. There's a cost to your business. There's a cost to your family. There's a cost to your health, mentally and physically. And then there is the cost of the substance, although that may be negligible for some of you. You have to ask yourself, what is your time worth when you're operating at damn near 100% of your untapped potential? And I would say this is impossible to answer if you're currently struggling with active addiction. It took me a year plus of sobriety to really start to put a solid figure on that question. And I'll tell you, the figure that I arrived upon was a figure that I was not expecting. But looking back now, there is an actual dollar sign in front of what my time was worth and what my time was valued at. And I can base that on the valuations of the companies that I've had since I've ascertained sobriety. The program cost right now before August, it's $14.99. After August 1st to August 7th, before we launch, you're looking at a cost of $2,000. Afterpay is available, so we have the payment plans for those who need it. There's a commitment of time and money, and this is a very powerful thing. I am looking for people who aren't going to waste my time, and I don't want to waste yours. And the easiest way to find that group of people is through a financial commitment. There is a financial commitment when it comes to addiction, and I believe in the financial commitment when it comes to sobriety, especially if you have the means to afford it. Now, I acknowledge there are tons of people, and I was once in this situation. That's why I make so much free content. Who cannot afford that, and they just need a hand. They need someone to reach down and help them up from that rock bottom and give them a little bit of assistance. And that's why we have the free PDFs. That's why we have our other groups that are as cheap as $4 a month. We have something for everyone, but in this case, we want this to come with a financial cost. You're going to get the most bang for your buck in the shortest amount of time possible. This program is not going to have any filler or any fluff. Neither of us have time for that. No refunds after we launch. Of course, guys, if I became sick and something happened and the program didn't get completed, of course you would be refunded. But after we launch, we're not going to backtrack and say, hey, I changed my mind on getting sober, whatever it may be. I want you to go through this from start to finish. In addiction, there is no refund. There's no refund on our health. There's no refund on our time. And I want this to have the same consequences, but in a positive manner. Who should register for this? You're watching this. Is this for you? Business owners, business executives, influencers, those with professional licenses, MDs, physician assistants, realtors, CPAs, personal trainers, financial advisors. Anyone who's ready to commit to quit should be in this program, period. That is the person I'm looking for. If you're not sure about quitting, this probably isn't for you. I'm looking for the person who's struggling to succeed at quitting, but who's 100% ready to do it. Whether this is your first time quitting or 1,000th time is irrelevant. This program will still apply. My final words, be sure to keep an eye on your emails over the next few weeks. I'm going to be sending out some informative emails regarding our programs. All the emails come with value, though, I promise. And if you're not on our email list, just download one of the free PDFs, the 7-step guide to quitting weed, the guide on tolerance breaks, the guide on quitting nicotine, and you'll be added to our email list. And then I want you to ask me questions. I put my email in the pinned comment as well. If you have questions about this program, concerns, hesitations, I want to do my best to answer those for you. I feel this program is 1,000% worth it, but I don't want you to commit to it unless you feel the same way. So please reach out. I'm going to be doing lives up until we launch this program every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. EST. We got a few more live sessions to go on Zoom, answering questions and concerns. And you can feel free to join those lives by also checking out the links in the pinned comment. There's always going to be a link for the next Zoom meeting leading up to the launch of this program. I think it's like August 7th or 10th that we're launching this. I can't remember. So be sure to check that out. All right, guys, until next time, I look forward to hearing from you and possibly even working with some of you. Bye now.